Did you miss me? Oh my goodness, how I have missed you. It's been a while, hasn't it? I knew I'd come back. I knew I'd be here with all of you, my friends. I saw it in my dreams. Welcome to the Limitless Funhouse.
John, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
I am television's own John Alba, and it's so nice to see all of you again.
No, we're not repackaging the show.
It's really great to.
Ridiculous.
It's really great to see all of you again. It's been so long.
It has been a while, but we're not repackaging the show. I sent you to get Dice Arts a couple months ago, and you never came back.
Like,
yeah,
you wanted the seafood chowder?
Yeah, I mean, Dice Arts really packs a punch for their seafood chowder. I don't know if you ever had it.
So,
yeah,
that's where I was supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, we could have been doing episodes all along, but yeah.
Limitless Wrestling fans, you heard it. Television's own John Alba here with the czar of Limitless Wrestling. It has been a hot second, but we are back in the back of a Cadillac #1 with the bullet. I'm a power pack. What's up, Randy?
What is going on? Maybe the best intro yet?
Intro? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is that not... I don't understand. So you actually wanted me to bring you that. I thought that was like a metaphor. Like, I thought, like, bring me some Dice Arts meant, like, go figure out who you are, your character will come back.
What?
You'll be new,
in what
fresh.
World does that mean that?
I don't know.
I have some main lingo, but go get me some Dice Arts is not a code for anything. It's just it's a wishful hope that I'll have some Dice Arts by the end of the day.
All right, maybe I looked a little too far into that and took it. I went off into the dungeon of the Limitless Dojo, found myself. I created this new self of being, and yet all you just wanted were some curly fries.
Yeah, you did good, man. You did a good job.
All right, maybe one day down the line we'll get a chance to meet that, John. But what's going on, man? It's been a while. It has, in all seriousness. It's just been an absolute insane stretch the last couple of months, and I do apologize. I want to take this moment to apologize to the loyal listeners of the Limitless Wrestling Podcast. Absolutely nothing personal. It has just been... I realistically do not have any sense of consistency in scheduling, and Randy's an insanely busy guy. So the two elements together clashing, it's been hard, but I promised people on social media we would imminently be back, and here we are. So, man, what's been going on?
Not much, man.
Really? Not much?
Shows, man. Limitless and Let's Wrestle. A lot of shows recently. I also, I didn't realize how many listeners we had until we stopped doing episodes for a little bit. So it's been really cool to see, like, the outreach and I guess the anticipation for the podcast coming back. So,
yes.
Thank you to all the loyal listeners.
Yes.
But in the time that we've missed 2 volumes of Let's Wrestle. We've missed Welcome to the Dance, which was the crowning of the first ever Limitless champion. So it has been a whirlwind in the world of Limitless and Let's Wrestle.
It has, and I know people are looking for some answers, and we're going to go ahead and give those to you. So much did happen, especially in the world of Limitless Wrestling. Welcome to the Dance happened. We did get our first ever Limitless Wrestling champion. A guy you just love near and dear. MJF.
Oh, I love him. You're right.
Now, to his credit, I want to give MJF a little golf clap here. He's taken that Limitless Wrestling Championship on the road. He's put it on the line. He's brought it to his matches. That's great exposure for Limitless.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, within the first week, actually the next day, the championship was in Canada for Alpha One Wrestling, and then a week later he defended it in London, England against Kip Sabian. So he is taking it everywhere, and he is very proud of the championship. And I am, regardless of my feelings towards Max as a person, I am proud to have him as the Limitless Wrestling Champion, as much as it pains me to say that, because he is taking it everywhere with him, like a proud and confident champion would. But obviously, anyone who's seen the match live, or maybe the recap video that was put up this week, JT Dunn was really rocking and rolling at the end of that match, and he really had it won, and in the end, he won it for MJF.
So, how'd you feel about that?
Hey, man, are you talking about the match or the whole show?
Well, just the whole turn of events there. I
mean, it was very circumstantial.
Mm-hmm.
Very circumstantial. I mean, we saw JT Dunn, mow down Anthony Green with a death by elbow, then turning into one with Ace Romero on the apron, knocking him off the apron. He then gets whipped around. I assume he thought it was Anthony Green. I don't know, but the instinct was to throw another elbow, which he did. Hit MJF. MJF lands on Anthony Green. Ace Romero pulls JT Dunn out of the ring unknowingly, really costing himself and JT Dunn the Limitless Wrestling Championship, because that was it, and Anthony Green was not kicking out. So just a wild turn of events. People were coming out of their chairs. It was a mad scene at the end of the show, but just a wild show up and down, and what a crescendo on the night that was.
And here's what I want to ask you, because you were so adamantly against crowning a champion for so long. When you crowned that champion, was the moment worth it?
Yeah. I knew it even before the show happened, just because of the response that we got a couple months earlier when it was announced, and then the response when we shared the picture of the belt. But, a championship was never in the cards for Limitless Wrestling from the very start. So to really have my feelings on it change, and, they didn't change because of Limitless Wrestling's growth. They really changed because of the fans, because, for years, and especially the months leading up to March, people were really, really jonesing for a championship in Limitless Wrestling. So it felt really good, and it felt like the right moment to really introduce that into the world of Limitless.
So there you have it. You got your champion crown, some other standouts from this night, Chris Dickinson, Dirty Daddy, and Tommy Dreamer in an ECW rules match. I heard this one tore the house down.
Dude, it was so fucking cool just sitting out there and hearing Man in a
Box, man. I saw a video of his entrance from a fan, and I just, what a song, what an entrance. It's perfect.
It was such an electric crowd, too. Like, I can't state that enough, that it was the most people we've ever packed into the Westbrook Armory, bar none. And it was just such an electric feel from start to this match, especially. I don't know what, being in the ECW arena felt like, but man, this was our equivalent to like an ECW feel in Limitless, and it was really, really cool to see. Insane match too. Tommy Dreamer at his like he did 20 years ago, and it's insane. Him and Dickinson tore it up. What
was Tommy's reaction to Limitless?
Dude, Tommy was stoked before the show even started, because I guess he put out a little notice on his podcast, I believe, that he likes Oreos a lot. So he got treated very well from the Limitless faithful, and he had a huge wall of packs of Oreos that fans had given him in the back. Like, I'm talking like 16 to 20 packs worth of Oreos, all different types, all different flavors. But overall, he had a really good time from what he told me, and he came through the curtain and said I had a good thing and not to fuck it up. So I'm gonna try to do my best to not fuck it up.
That's for you, and how much you love Tommy Dreamer and ECW. That had to be pretty special.
Oh, very cool. And he's just the nicest dude in general. I get such great reviews from not only fans, but guys in the locker room. He's a real locker room leader and a good guy to just have in any locker room on any show at any time.
Yes, he certainly is. I've met him before. I've interviewed him before. Nothing but great things to say about Tommy. He's a busy guy, to his credit. He's a very busy guy. Stays that way well into his 40s. It's
Yeah,
pretty
I think he
impressive,
posted something about wrestling 200 matches last year,
which is crazy
which
for,
it's fucking insane. It might be more than that. I might be
yeah.
underselling it, but it was a crazy number for him. Just being over 20 years in the business. It's unbelievable how hard he works, and it was hard to book him because I've been trying to book him for maybe 8 months before we finally found a date that worked.
Long time coming. It happened. Teddy Hart and Darby Allin.
Dude, have you watched this one yet?
Yeah. Well, first off,
Insane.
Darby Allin's getting that AEW contract.
Yeah, and fucking good for Darby, man. He's one of the hardest workers. Like any show that he's booked on, I love watching Darby Allin's matches just because they're so different. He's such a unique wrestler in this day and age where it's really tough to stand out because there's so much wrestling, and he just does every time.
And you saw who he's facing, right?
Yeah, dude, I love watching Teddy Hart too, just as much as I love watching Darby Allin.
No,
So
I'm saying you saw who he's facing in his first AEW match, right?
Oh, I didn't.
He's facing Cody at the Fighter Festival.
That'll be neat. That'll be very cool.
It's awesome. But yes, Teddy Hart, he's decent too.
Yeah. Teddy's awesome. This was absolutely a dream match for me. And I think a lot of people just because they faced off in a triple threat before, I believe, but I don't think anyone really predicted that the singles match was coming, especially to Limitless Wrestling. So I was stoked that we were able to put that on. It was a barn burner, like anyone could have anticipated.
Now there were some things that did not entirely go perfectly well with this show.
Yeah, so I woke up Wednesday morning to a phone call at like 8:30 from the Carolinas, and I fucking knew already it wasn't good. So I answered, and it was Shane Helms, and we chatted for a minute, and he said WWE asked me last night, which would have been a Tuesday at SmackDown, to be on a project that they're doing this weekend at the home office. So I didn't think at the beginning that it was going to be completely out of the question that he was going to be available for the show. I just thought it may be later because I knew that, theoretically, if he was doing a project with them morning, afternoon, we could maybe fly him from Connecticut to Maine real quick. But we found out pretty quick that there was no way that he was getting out of it, and it was going to be like an all-day thing. So we were left with really no options to get him to Maine in time for the match with Christian Casanova. So we found out that was going to be canceled. And unfortunately, we did try and looked around and tried to see what was available. But really financially, with only a couple days before the event, we couldn't really afford to get another flight to bring somebody in. And there weren't a lot of people available. And to pull the curtain back a little bit, one of the reasons why we don't run a ton of Saturday shows is because probably 90% of the independent wrestling companies will run a Saturday. So Saturdays are super tough to book people, depending on when the shows are. But yeah, we just had no fucking luck. I spent all day that Wednesday until we made the announcement. And we got that out there pretty quickly after we figured out that there was no way that we were going to be able to pull anything off with him coming in. But we couldn't get a huge replacement, so we ended up switching up a couple things that we had planned that wasn't announced. We were going to do Chris Statlander and Mark Sterling to open the show as an unannounced pre-show match. We ended up moving Chris Statlander into the position where Hurricane was against Casanova, and then DL Hurst, who was not actually going to be on the show at all originally, made his Limitless Wrestling return and actually won against Mark Sterling. So things worked out for a couple people. Obviously, it was a huge bummer because I was stoked to have the Hurricane. It was going to be one of his final matches as well. And him and Christian, I think, we talked about it, in the weeks leading up, that it was going to be an awesome match. But we did, we've stayed in contact with Shane since then. He did say that he would owe us a makeup date. I'm not sure if he's going to be wrestling. Because from the sounds of it, it sounds like his in-ring career is wrapping up within the next couple days. But I do think that we'll be able to get him in on an appearance, hopefully by the end of the year. We've sent him our past couple dates, and he's been unavailable, but we'll see.
So just to clarify and clear the air, make sure there's no heat on anyone. This wasn't a case of WWE being like, you can't work that Limitless show. It was, hey, your priority is us and we need you to work this.
Yes, so we had been in contact with his agent and Shane himself in the days leading up to it, because he was signed, I think it was like January 29th or 28th, one of the two. And when he signed with the WWE, I messaged the agent immediately, because obviously I was getting hit up from fans that thought that he was going to get pulled, and I thought maybe the same thing. I didn't know. So I got in touch with his agent. 2 days later, we had confirmation from the WWE that they okayed the date, so that he was going to be good to go for the show. This was a last minute thing where it was like, your job right now prioritizes over this. So,
yes. So,
yeah.
Bummer, but it is what it is. But then WWE also gets you again because Stokely.
Yeah. Yep. Stoke the God, Stokely Hathaway. For those who have not seen it yet, Stokely Hathaway is signed to the WWE.
He's now Curtis Moore.
Yes, and he's on the road with NXT right now, and actually managing Jonah Rock, which is pretty cool.
He was managing Baba Tunde too.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I'm stoked for him, no pun intended. Just dude is such a hard worker, and I don't think a lot of people realize how good he is, and not just with being out there as a performer, but behind the scenes. He just gets it, and he gets social media, and he gets very important aspects of the wrestling business that a lot of people don't. So he'll go far, and I'm just really excited for him. But yeah, unfortunately we lost him too. But fortunately for him, unfortunately, because I loved working with Stoke, and I really, really loved the combination of him and Christian Casanova, and I was really excited to see what we could do with that this year. But
how was Christian feeling about it?
Hey man, he's kind of in the same boat. You're stoked for Stokely Hathaway, but you're bummed. You're bummed that you can't work with him anymore. Yeah. But hopefully, I think maybe down the road, Christian and him meet up again. Who knows?
I don't know. The way his career has been going, it wouldn't surprise me too much to see him make his way there. We're going to talk a little more Limitless momentarily, folks, but want to kind of veer off real quick here and talk about Let's Wrestle, because there have been 2 shows since the last podcast, and the dojo has really taken off as well. How are you pleased with things so far?
Dude, I am so pleased with the Limitless Dojo. We've got about 15 students right now who are signed on for monthly classes, which is awesome. Much better than I anticipated through the first year. We're only, like 6 months deep in this. But it's a very big learning experience as well, because I've done something like this before. And I'm getting to do it with close friends of mine in Alexander Lee and Aiden Agro primarily, along with Danger Kid and Calvin Strange. So there's a lot that goes into this, and just a lot of really good students, too, who are really dedicated to being here, getting better. And we've already had a few make their debut on shows. Mac Daniels, actually, last weekend at the Let's Wrestle show, he made his in-ring, for a tag team match debut, teaming with another dojo trainee, Frank Yeager, against Eric Johnson and Brandino Davis. So that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, so Mac Daniels, for those of you who don't know, is actually a good friend of mine. He was my personal trainer up in Maine, and now I've been telling him, I've been pushing him. I'm like, you got to get involved. He's a big wrestling fan. I'm like, you got to get involved. You want to do this. He knew his character. He knew his ring name 3 years ago when I met him. He knew what it was going to be. And I was like, okay, go do it. You've got this tool now. It's there for you. Take advantage of it. And how's he done?
Very well. He's in here quite often. I think him and Jacob Drifter are probably in here the most. And he's just progressed very well. We did a battle royal as well in March. And then his performance, not only in the battle royal, but also his performance in class led us to giving him that opportunity on the Let's Wrestle show. And he really knocked it out of the park, did a great job, as did Frank Yeager. So those guys have been progressing very well. Jacob Drifter, Dave Dyer, Andy. We got 2 referees as well who have made their debut on Let's Wrestle shows, and Matty B and Derek. So very pleased all around. There's a lot of guys who are very, very much on the cusp of being on those Let's Wrestle shows who are dojo products. Dalton Hemingway is one of those guys who I think you'll see him on Let's Wrestle shows soon. If you listen to the Main Event podcast, you know who I'm talking about. he had a really fun match actually with Mike McCarthy at the studio taping after the last Let's Wrestle show. So just really cool stuff, good vibes around the dojo, and it's very cool to see people progress from beginning with us in November to now wrestling on the shows in March and April.
Yeah, and I mean that's pretty quick to make your debut. It sounds to me like you're really trying to give them a chance to sink or swim, and if you sink, you're going to learn from it and get better from it.
Absolutely, yeah, and I mean that's kind of the wrestling business. That's kind of what you have to do, but it's really Let's Wrestle is really cool because it gives us that secondary platform where guys can go from the dojo to Let's Wrestle, and then we can see performers go from Let's Wrestle to Limitless, and it's just a really cool ladder to see people climb.
We haven't seen too much of it though yet. With Let's Wrestle talent going to Limitless, do you anticipate to really start to see that amp up in the course of the next 6 months or so?
Yeah, I would even say within the next like 3 months or so. There becomes a lot more opportunities to break into Limitless Wrestling when the summer comes, because as you know, we do a lot of fair and festival shows. So that's going to be a point, especially the Southern Maine festivals that we have this summer. That'll be a cool point where we can try out guys like I know a few are booked already for some: Alec Price, Channing Thomas, Davian, and a few others, Kobe Christ as well. A lot of people who have been just super impressive in the Let's Wrestle shows will definitely be making their presence felt in Limitless soon.
No doubt about that, and the shows have been producing a lot of fun stuff. I just saw an absolute I mean, look, I've made it well known on this podcast that I'm not the biggest hardcore wrestling fan, but how the Mainstay Posse is alive after last week's show, in particular Alexander Lee, is beyond me.
Dude, that main event, and for anyone who doesn't know, all the Let's Wrestle shows become available on youtube.com/Limitless Wrestling. We put all that stuff up for free. Volume 5 is actually going up now, 1 match per day, so definitely check those out. But this was Volume 6, the main event, Main State Posse and the Syndicate. Anything goes in a Main State street fight. It was nuts. Alexander Lee not only gets a ticket stapled to his forehead.
I saw that.
Yeah, and that produced quite a bit of blood, but he also uses the top of a trash can as a like battering ram over his head, and does the old torpedo headbutt and shaves probably a good like 5 or 6 inch long like gash out of his head, and that produced another good amount of blood. So he was battered and bruised after that, but this was absolute craziness. There were chairs flying. There were pine cone doors, buoys. It was nuts.
Yeah, you're not kidding. It certainly was. If you're into that kind of thing, man, go check that out. It was certainly an attraction match for sure. Volume 7, Curl of the Burl, coming up Friday, May 31st at the American Legion Post 84 in Orono. And
yes,
what's
I'm
in store
for that?
What's in store for that?
We've got Calvin Strange, who technically fulfilled his obligation.
Kind of finagled his way out, though, huh?
Finagled is a perfect word to use. He finagled his way out of that match, and technically he did just have to find a team to wrestle the Mainstay Posse. He did not have to be a part of that team. So he found the loophole. He got out of it. Now he gets his title opportunity against Davey N. And then also for this show, all 3 members of the Mainstay Posse, Danger Kid, Aiden Agro, Alexander Lee, will be in action. Alec Price will be in action. CJ Cruz, Ava Everett, and many more. Tickets go on sale Monday on limitlesswrestling.com. Go to the Let's Wrestle section, and tickets will be available right there.
I kind of want to circle back to Mac Daniels here. He turned his back on his partner, Frank Yeager.
Yeah, not the best attitude. I guess we didn't talk about that part of Mac Daniels, but not the best attitude on the kid. But yeah, he had a short temper with Frank Yeager after losing his debut tag team match. So maybe we'll have to get a word with him soon here at the dojo.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what he might be doing at Volume 7. You never know. I will say, I texted him after I saw it. I gave him some kudos for that little move he did there. It's like a sit-out Michinoku driver of sorts.
Yeah, you gave him props because he beat the shit out of Frank Yeager after the match. That's something you'd like to do.
Well,
that's a move you'd pull.
It's not something I'd like to do. It's something I have done. I would like to remind everyone out there that Mac Daniels and I have the same amount of matches under our resume, and that I eliminated Frank Yeager from a Royal Rumble. And I can say that in all 100% sincerity.
Whatever.
So, Frank Yeager, if you're listening to this, you got a problem with my guy, you might have a problem with me too.
Wow.
Just saying.
Chill. In the words of the goodness of Brett Domino, chill, man, chill.
How's Brett Domino doing? You talked to him lately?
I mean, he's had it rough in Limitless Wrestling, but I don't know if you saw, but DL Hurst is back and back with a vengeance, apparently, as he beat the shit out of Ava Everett with a crutch, and it was very despicable, but Brett Domino acted like he just won the lottery. But let me just point out that he did lose to the Platinum Honeys minutes before that.
Yes, he did.
To extend his losing streak in Limitless Wrestling.
He did. Hey, I want to talk about something real crappy, unfortunately, before we go to this Limitless May 10th show. It was something that was really crappy, but ended up turning into something pretty special. And it's what happened with a guy who I've expressed my, what's the right word? Differences with on this podcast, but ultimately at the same time, I feel for him, and that is the Hitman for Hire, Mr. Grimm. You see all this that happened?
I did. It pretty much went viral on the internet.
Oh, I know. My notifications blew up because he tagged me in the picture. So
me too.
so you were feeling the same thing I was feeling. Yeah. But I felt for him. It's because Mr. Grimm was in a match, and he brought his briefcase that I am oh so familiar with to ringside, and his opponent that he was wrestling destroyed the briefcase, unbeknownst to him.
Yeah.
And it was pretty crappy, wasn't it?
Did you see the fucking excuse that guy made?
Yes, I did. And here's your chance. Okay, you're a promoter. You know the unwritten rules and the written rules of pro wrestling. Go ahead, tell people what he said, and then give your take on it.
So this guy says to Mr. Grimm, and I don't remember the guy's name, and I don't really care, but he said, if you don't want it broken, don't bring it to ringside. And I'm just trying to, it was something to that effect, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I tried to process that for like 2 minutes. I was like staring at the fucking phone, looking at the post. And I'm thinking in my head, well, people bring championship belts to ringside almost every show. Like, are you just going to destroy that too? It made no sense to me. And I don't understand that logic because, I mean, I don't know. You just don't see that. And you don't even use, theoretically, you don't even use someone else's shit unless you ask, That's just kind of what happens. And it just blew my mind that this dude would destroy Mr. Grimm's briefcase. And Mr. Grimm is a guy who takes great pride in the character that he presents. And he really, he goes full force with anything that he does. And I've always respected that about Mr. Grimm. And I felt really bad for him because he's one of those dudes who really hits the roads, tries to travel, tries to get out there as much as he can. And there's not a lot of money in this independent wrestling world. I hate to break it to everybody, but there's not on any level, but especially being an independent wrestler, traveling the roads so much as he does. So,
and he's really good too.
Dude, he's awesome. And you can tell how this story ended because it is a really cool ending.
Well, it involves another Limitless favorite, and that's All Ego Ethan Page, who saw the post and just said, tell me how much it's worth, and I'll PayPal you the money right now. And then other people offered to chip in. And the whole wrestling community came together to make things right. Pretty damn cool
when that happens.
Pretty damn cool.
It's so cool. And we see, I think that's truly one of the benefits of social media that we do overlook sometimes is how, because social media can be toxic sometimes, but like how cool, like the wrestling communities can come together. I think of the Kevin Blackwood, Daniel Garth, like the Buffalo Boys car wreck situation too. Like it's amazing how good social media can be for people sometimes and how good the wrestling community is.
it was very refreshing to see. For as much as the guy and I don't see eye to eye, it was very refreshing to see. And it seems like, from the outside at least, that everything has been made right. So that is certainly a good thing. All I got to say, guys, is respect other people's property, unless it's Eric Greenleaf's, in which case, do what you must. So
Yeah, destroy it.
Just do what you must at that point. Hooked on a Friedman. Hooked on a Friedman.
You like that name?
Coming up May 10th, Friday. This is in Portland, correct?
This is in Westbrook.
It's in Westbrook. Sir. Okay, gotcha. I told you, I've been busy.
I know.
This is at the Westbrook Armory, May 10th, Friday. Tickets still on sale, limitlesswrestling.com.
Not many left. At the time of recording, we're down to 88 tickets left.
Okay, there you go. Now, I made a bold prediction when you told me that you'd be bringing a Limitless Wrestling Championship into the picture. And I said that by the end of the year, Ashley Vox would be champion. Well, she's got a shot. Already. May 10th. Main event. MJF defends the Limitless World title against Ashley Vox. Take us behind it. How did it happen? And what's the deal?
Well, she called her shot. Within really minutes of MJF winning the Limitless Wrestling Championship, Ashley Vox bolted to the ring, walked right by JT Dunn, got in MJF's face, and really without saying anything at all, the challenge was laid out that Ashley Vox truly felt that she was the number one contender and felt that she deserved the Limitless Wrestling Championship match. And I don't think it can be disputed. I do think that there are other people that are close to the same level as her, but I think the thing with Ashley Vox is that she always in the scheme of Limitless Wrestling has felt like the underdog, because she hasn't really been someone from day one with Limitless Wrestling. She was someone who was a last-minute replacement for someone on a show in 2017, which blossomed into her having the run of her life in 2018, and you know, match of the year in Limitless Wrestling, some insane upsets, one being against Anthony Green, who was in that title match. So there's not a lot of dispute that you can make that she doesn't deserve this, but I know that she has her supporters. She also has her doubters, but she's had those doubters since day one. So this is the shot for Ashley Vox. You know, MJF has been talking about since he won the title all over Twitter, saying about how he's going to defend it once and then take the belt to AEW and just not come back and make the belt bigger than anyone here could. But I don't know if all that matters if the belt isn't here. And Ashley Vox, that's our chance to keep it here, essentially.
So it sounds like you're firmly in the corner of Ashley Vox.
I'm not firmly in the corner of anybody because, you know, we talked about it earlier. Max bringing that belt around is a lot of exposure, but, you know, my priority is the fans, and the fans obviously want to see this championship stick around. So Ashley Vox could be the chance, and I don't know what happens if Ashley Vox doesn't win. I don't know what the future of Limitless Wrestling holds, and I don't know what the Kings plan to do with Limitless Wrestling, because they do have a firm grip on where Limitless Wrestling goes into the future right now.
Well, let's see if the Kings are even on the same page.
I mean, we saw the video drop this week. You know, they're not clicking on all cylinders. They might be moving in the right direction, but you know, they're not clicking on all cylinders. And JT Dunn, you know, he's got a Vacation Land Cup qualifying opportunity, and we'll get to the Vacation Land Cup too in a minute, because that adds a little spice to this whole thing. But he's got a chance to get back into the Vacation Land Cup if he wins the qualifier. I mean, he could go 2 in a row and win it this July, and then have a big opportunity to present itself for him in September. But
we'll hit on all that. We'll hit on all that in a second. Another big match just announced recently. This is a pretty cool one on several cylinders. Victoria making her Limitless debut. This is her final year in pro wrestling. Coming through Westbrook. Pretty awesome as is. And she is facing the returning Skylar.
I thought this was pretty cool. And
yeah.
This was such a low key, this came together very quickly, actually, because we got in contact with Victoria, when we found out about the retirement tour. And really after getting a great review from Anthony Green, who wrestled her at Beyond Wrestling. And that really made the decision for me to kind of just at least put some contact out there, see if this was possible. Very easy to work with and really set this up to bring Victoria in. And she seems very stoked about it. She's actually very excited to wrestle Skylar because she saw a lot of Skylar from some Women's Wrestling Revolution stuff. And Skylar, I don't know if you saw the little video.
Bit of an attitude.
Yeah, little attitude on Skylar, who's her and Jeremy Leary. They're year one originals here with Limitless Wrestling, and Skylar had a lot of her early, big opportunity matches here in Limitless Wrestling, and then they did, as they said, they kind of dropped off the face of the earth in the world of Limitless Wrestling, and this would be quite a way to come back if she can really come in and do everything she says she's going to and defeat Lisa Marie Verone on her retirement tour.
And when you're talking Lisa Marie Verone, Victoria, you're talking someone who has pretty much done it all in pro wrestling. You remember how she got her start in WWF?
I don't.
She was one of Godfather's hoes.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And then made her way through the system. Has a championship match at WrestleMania. I mean, really does it all. And goes to TNA, has a nice run in TNA. And since had her own, I believe it was a pizza place in Chicago, right? And then now she's on her retirement tour. So I've heard nothing but incredible things about her, that she's just as real as it gets and is awesome. So
yeah, I think she'll be a great fit in the locker room, and I'm just really excited that we got to be a stop on her retirement tour.
Fans going to get a chance to meet her?
Yeah, absolutely. So anyone who has a VIP ticket, they get the 30-minute early access meet and greet with Victoria, as well as a free signed 8x10. And then everybody else, she will be doing a meet and greet and signing from 7 to 7:30, and then an intermission as well.
Pretty cool opportunity there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, here's the match I've wanted to talk about for a long time. I've known about this match for a couple months now, and you finally announced it the other day on social media. The Mainstay Posse, Danger Kid and Aiden Agro, will face off with Teddy Hart and Davey Boy Smith. Hey now.
How cool is that?
Hey now.
Dude.
These two have been tearing it up on the pro wrestling circuit together. They are killing it in MLW. And here they are.
Yeah, man. MLW Tag Team Champions. This is another part of the resurrection of Teddy Hart that's so cool, because I don't think anyone could have expected this team to be really a thing. But I did just want to talk about this match alone is super, super cool in itself. But there's a little backstory to it that I'd like to let people know about, because I think it's just a pretty cool element to everything. So if I'm thinking correctly, Teddy Hart kind of dropped off the face of the earth for a while and didn't really come back in the grand scheme of being on bigger independent shows until I would say mid to late 2017. Do you think I have that right?
It was mid 2017.
Okay. So this is early summer or late spring of 2017.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Davey Boy Smith Jr. is supposed to be on an IWE show, which
Correct.
is a local independent.
Correct.
And he's supposed to do a double shot. Unfortunately, that was at the time where there was a death in the Hart family, and he was not able to fulfill the booking because he would have to be at the funeral. So Teddy was the replacement for Davey Boy, because Teddy did not have a ton of bookings at that time. He wasn't wrestling for a ton of the bigger promotions yet as he is now. It was just
right.
He was at a lower point in the scheme of independent wrestling at that time.
And he faced Jason Rumble, if I'm not mistaken.
I have no fucking clue.
He faced Jason Rumble, and they had the greatest match in IWE history. and so everyone was raving about Teddy Hart.
Yeah, so he had an incredible weekend there. So incredible that they were going to bring him back in August. So Danny was kind of Danger Kid, excuse me, was kind of hanging out with Teddy most of the weekend, as was Aiden Agro. And they were just like texting me throughout the whole time. They were putting over like how chill and how awesome Teddy Hart was. And like, I did not know Teddy Hart. I didn't like, I had never been in a locker room with him. I had no professional experience with him. I just knew that I had heard that he was a wild card, and I had heard the stories that people put out there about Teddy Hart. And, you know, for a long, long time, they've been just negative things about Teddy. So I got this really, really good review from Danger Kid and Aggro, who have a very good judgment of character, in my opinion. And they showed him some Limitless stuff, and he was very interested in working with us. But I just like, I wasn't sold because I didn't know. So I went to the August IWE shows that he was also on. You know, I made sure that I was like very low key, and I didn't introduce myself as anybody but Randy, and he wouldn't know me. You know what I mean? So it was very cool to watch him in the locker room, just and with the fans and the match that he had, and he absolutely killed it. And that sold me right there, along with Danger Kid and Aggro's approval that I would take a chance on Teddy Hart, and we did in September of that year. He wrestled MJF at Question the Answers, and
the rest is history.
Yeah, and he's been semi-regular with us ever since. So, and I told Teddy about that as well, because I don't think he really realized the effect that Danger Kid and Aggro's word had on him getting a spot in Limitless Wrestling. But he was very grateful for that, and I think it's all. He was also very, very stoked about the match, in the sense that it's cool how it all comes full circle, and it's cool just how now they're going to meet in the ring, and I'm very excited for it.
And those two guys just celebrated their 4-year wrestling anniversary, too.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy, because it doesn't seem like that long, but it's 4 years, man. They're 4 years deep.
Anything else you want to add about this show?
We just announced Brad Hollister is going to go one-on-one with Christian Casanova. Christian's trying to get back on track. He not only lost Stokely Hathaway, but lost the match to Chris Statlander as well in March. So March was really rough for Christian Casanova. So this could be a way to get back on track. But Brad Hollister, coming off his return to Limitless Wrestling and a win in the 6-man scramble, is really looking to keep the momentum going. So I'm very excited to see that one. They've tore it up before in numerous promotions around New England, and now that's coming to Limitless.
And Alley Cat in action, too.
Yes, Alley Cat returns to Limitless Wrestling, I believe the first time since last year's Vacation Land Cup. She's going to go one-on-one with Australia's Shaza McKenzie.
I don't remember anything about that Vacation Land Cup in particular, but we can talk about this one coming up. Here's some exclusives, folks, if you stayed with us till the end here. That's the benefit of listening to an entire podcast. You get some goodies thrown in. Well, we're talking the 2019 Vacation Land Cup.
And so let's dive into this a little bit.
Earlier in the year, I had suggested a couple ideas to you. I know you had gotten some other ideas from the Limitless Wrestling fan base. What are we looking at here?
So we kind of ushered in a new era of Limitless Wrestling with the championship in March. So really, I mean, a lot of shit did change around that championship coming in. But let's start with Hooked on a Friedman. There's going to be 2 fatal 4-way matches. They are qualifiers for the Vacation Land Cup. If they are not already announced by the time this drops, they'll be announced this week. But we've already announced that JT Dunn will take part in one of the 4-ways. Also, this is exclusive to the podcast. Ethan Page will be in one of those 4-ways as well.
All right.
The winners of those 2 fatal 4-way match qualifiers on the 10th of May will go to the Vacation Land Cup. They'll be entered into the tournament, and the tournament format, match-wise, is very similar to last year. There'll be 4 singles matches that are the opening round matches. The winners of those 4 singles matches will move on to the main event, which is a 4-way elimination match for the Cup. And the winner of the 2019 Vacation Land Cup not only gets to take home that tall-ass trophy, but they'll get a guaranteed championship match in September at the anniversary show of Limitless Wrestling. So that's the big change with the winners circle, essentially, of the Vacation Land Cup. It's not only not getting to choose your opponent anymore, but you get a guaranteed title match in September at the anniversary show.
Let the record show that as we record this episode, Randy Carver took a suggestion of mine. How about that? Crazy.
Sure.
Crazy. So the winner is essentially cashing in that win for a title shot. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll take you behind my reasoning of not wanting to pull the trigger on that when we first spoke about it. My worry is always that, and this has always been the case with the championship, is that, and it's just a realization that the champion won't be on every single show.
Of course.
We will have instances where schedules don't work out because, a lot of the Limitless core roster that was easily dependable, probably a year ago is now a lot of them are signed to contracts. A lot of them have some pretty big obligations. So it is tough to really get all the core roster members of Limitless under one roof. A lot tougher than it used to be. So that was my big worry, was that we'd have scheduling issues. So, if something like that happens, we cross that bridge when we come to it. But I do think that we can figure it out for the most part, especially one time a year, being able to ensure that the champion is available for that show. So, that's the big format change. Winner of the 2019 Vacation Land Cup will get a championship match at the 4-year anniversary show.
And adding those fatal 4-way matches on the May 10th show, I mean, it makes that road that much harder.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, I think, expected JT Dunn to just get an opportunity. MJF did. we saw in the promo earlier this week. But a lot of people expected that just because he won last year's, he would be automatically granted into the tournament this year. But that's not the case. He's going to work for it just like everybody else does.
He's probably not too happy about that.
I'm sure he's not stoked about it, but I mean, you're just coming off a loss in the championship match, and regardless of how it happened, it's still a loss. So he's gonna have to earn it, just like 7 other people are gonna try to earn it on 510.
I still want to see a battle royal of sorts to get somewhere in there. We haven't really seen battle royals in Limitless, so
I think there might be one battle royal in Limitless history.
I'd like to see one with some stakes. That'd be pretty cool.
I think it'd be good. I've been thinking, like, I was telling Danger Kid and Aggro the other day, like, I wish that we could run a Royal Rumble every show, because when we put together the Rumble for the January Let's Wrestle
so
show,
much fun.
Like the funnest thing I've ever done. Yeah. And I really do want to have a circumstance where we have a Limitless Rumble sometime.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. It'd be cool. No, I mean, I just say Battle Royal, get some Limitless guys, get some Let's Wrestle guys, get some miscellaneous people in it. Winner gets a shot in the tournament or something down the line, Have some fun with it. And I don't know. That'd be a fun thing to have on a show.
I'm not opposed.
Okay. Well, that's more optimistic than I would have thought. So that is coming up May 10th, folks. The Hooked on a Friedman show. Limited tickets remain. Let's Wrestle, Friday, May 31st in Orono at the American Legion Post 84, the Limitless show at the Westbrook Armory, not in Portland. And do you want to drop the date for the Vacation Land Cup yet, or are you still waiting on that?
No, I'll drop it. It's going to be Friday, July 12th.
Okay. There you have it, folks. Friday, July 12th at the Westbrook Armory. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So there you go. Friday, July 12th, Westbrook Armory, the Vacation Land Cup. So make your plans now. Request off of work that day. Do what you got to do. Get your butt to the Westbrook Armory for both of those shows and to the American Legion Post 84 for Let's Wrestle. I promised you, folks. I promised you that we would be back. And we were. Sorry, I think the curly fries got a little cold, Randy.
Yeah, they did.
But, hey, it's good to be back, and hopefully we'll be able to keep this consistently coming your way, and we'll have some fun and get ready in anticipation of the Hooked on a Friedman show, which, believe it or not, is right around the corner.
Yeah, so, not too far off.
So, limitlesswrestling.com, limited tickets left. We'll see you next time.